Hi everyone, it is me. I had a week or so that I was off. I couldn't do the voiceover, but I hope you can hear me clearly, and I'm going to try and explain it as best as I can. So this is the lemon tutorial that I did. I also did a lemon tutorial step-by-step beginner's tutorial on Patreon if you want to go and have a look at that. But this is a very loose tutorial that I did, and I wanted to use very vibrant, translucent colors for this lemon that I'm painting right now. So what I use is especially a transparent, I would say, look at a yellow that is very transparent. I can highly recommend nickel as a yellow. It is one of my absolute favorite yellows that I use. This one in particular is from Core Watercolours, and I will show it to you right now. So for that yellow section, I used this nickel as a yellow. It is one of my favorite yellows that I use all the time, and I will show you why. I use it often in all of my tutorials. So this is the transparent yellow, and if you're interested in the pigment is PY150, and it is a gorgeous yellow. And what I like about this yellow is you can layer it often over and over, and it will become much darker. Another beautiful yellow, which is by the way exactly the same pigment, is this Sminky's transparent yellow. And let me just find the pigment. It is PY150. Let me just open it. I need to clean those lids there. And these little tubes will last you a very long time. So you can see they're exactly the same pigment, exactly the same yellow. So let's leave that one to just dry a little bit, and then I will show you exactly that it's exactly the same color. So it's also a transparent. Remember where I showed on Patreon, I showed my patrons about these little blocks or triangles that you find on your watercolor charts. This is normally, it shows that it's a transparent watercolor. And I'm just layering it over this lemon. I already added all of the green, but to brighten it up, I want to use some of that yellow over that green that I painted earlier. I'm going to show you how I paint another lemon and also the little flowers, so you can follow along. So let's start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of my Daniel Smith watercolors. I'm sorry, I just bumped the camera and it's moving a bit. So I want to wet the whole lemon, and I don't want any puddles. So I could use a bigger brush just to wet this whole section, but I'm just going to use my number 5 Kum memory brush. Now, lovely little brushes. And I'm going to go in with this yellow. And if you're interested, it is the rich green gold from Daniel Smith watercolors. And I like the color. It's very similar to, I wouldn't say it's a dirty yellow, but it's got like gold in, and it just makes it look so antique. I like it. I really like this color. It is now my next favorite color compared to the nickel azo yellow, which I told you before is one of my favorite yellows. So I'm definitely going to get some of this rich green gold. I am not sponsored by Daniel Smith at all. I just absolutely adore this color. I might find a similar color with other brands. It might have the Mission Magello watercolors. I think there's a very similar color in there. Now this next one is the green gold, also from Daniel Smith. And you can see there it is. It's just absolutely a gorgeous color. So I absolutely love these dot cards of Daniel Smith. Hi Tyson. And the reason why I like them is because I will never I've tasted this color. But because of the dot card that or chart that I've got, I can taste all of these colors and see which colors I like. I don't necessarily like all of the colors, but I like quite a few of these colors. And now I can go out and buy a small little tube of that and use it, because that's also the same way with other colors. I don't think a lot of the brands have these dot charts, but it's a pity because it will be lovely to test a lot of these colors. But because of this dot chart, I discovered this beautiful green gold, and I've also discovered the olive green and the rich green gold from Daniel Smith. Beautiful colors. There's also the quinacridone deep gold that I like, and a few other colors that is quite beautiful that I will add to my palette. Again, I'm just going over all of these other lemons that I painted while I'm waiting for the one to dry. And now I would normally use my nickel as a yellow like I did earlier, but just to brighten it up even more, I'm going to use this rich green gold over this lemon. And you can see it just adds, I don't know, it just adds something to the color over the beautiful lemon. I like the color. I like it very much. I would love to know which yellows you prefer, which greens you prefer. You can comment below and let me know. I would love to try some of them. For me, I live far away from the city, so when I order things, I have to order it online. Except if I do go into town and I can visit the art store, then I can go and have a look at all of the pigments. But for me, doing it this way is the only way that I'm going to be able to see these beautiful colors. So if you have any colors that you like and you would like to share with us, please do so in the comments below. Now, what I want to do is I want to paint these little flower buds that I have painted or drawn on the paper. I don't mind the yellow flowing in there. If it flows into the part that I just wet, I just take a tissue paper and dab it up. But I don't mind a little bit of the yellow reflection in there. I will just use it as it is, but just lift the excess out. You don't want too much of that in your little flower bud. I want to use a green. You can look at the greens that I've already used on the leaves, and they have the same similar olive green, a rich green gold, and a green gold color that I used for the leaves. And I'm going to stick with that color for the flower bud as well. So I just dropped it in there, and then I removed the excess with my brush. I want to use a brush with a nice tip for this, and I also take it up into the stem and to take it everywhere. And this again is the olive green, same beautiful green mixed between the olive green, the green gold, and the rich green gold color. And there also, and then you'll see it's quite a bit of pigment that I dropped in there, but then I just lift it out with my brush. So just make sure that you don't have too much water on your brush. You dab your brush on a tissue paper or on a towel, and then you put it down on your paper, because you do not want all of the water to flood your paper. The minute you put your brush on the paper, it will, with water on, it will flood that section. So just remember that. I always make sure that I dab it on the tissue paper. I also make sure that I have clean water. So I always have 2 glasses of clean water next to me. One is where I dip my brush in with a pigment on, and one is where I want to, for instance, do a glaze over a section. That glass is always clean. There's always clean water in there. I'm taking that color right over these sections. You can see this yellow color that I've painted right now will shine through the next color that I'm going to paint over that. So I like to use transparent watercolors, and the reason for that is because I like to layer my watercolors. I always use, most of the time, I use transparent watercolors. And I also like staining watercolors with certain paintings that I do, but most of the time I like to use transparent watercolors. So this again is the green gold, also a very beautiful color. I love this color. it will also be on my wish list. So I just drop in the color, then I rinse my brush in clean water and I soften those little markings because I want that green to just flow everywhere. I don't want a solid line there. And I just move that pigment over that little leaf that's turned over there. Just very carefully. I don't want it the same color as the inside of the leaf. I want it a little bit of a different color on the bottom. So it will be a bit lighter. And then I just drop in some more of that green gold color. And I just smooth it all out. Want to neaten those little parts with my brush. This is the undersea green. And that section is still wet, so I'm just going to drop some of that color over the previous color. Pigments and transparency of watercolors. Again, the green gold. I wanted on the bottom of this leaf. So again, the color shine through each layer that I'm going to paint over. And this green is a beautiful green as well. It is the undersea green from Daniel Smith. And I think I said it before, it is a semi-transparent color. And just quickly, if you are interested in transparency of your watercolors, there's a little chart for you. I will link it at the end so you can have a look at it again. It's very interesting if you are interested in transparent, opaque, and semi-transparent watercolors. It makes a difference to your watercolors. I have nothing against opaque watercolors. I use it as well. But for this type of painting, I want transparent watercolors. And it makes a huge difference if you want to layer and layer and still want the bottom layers to shine through. And then I use my tissue paper just to lift out the excess pigment. I'm going to leave that section to dry completely. I'm going to paint somewhere else now. So this is the quinacridone fuchsia, also from Daniel Smith. And I want to drop a little bit of that onto the beautiful little bud that I have there, flower bud. And I want to keep it very light. I don't want it too dark. And I use clean water on my brush just to move the pigment around. Still want the sides to be quite light. Make sure you wipe your brush on tissue paper often when you wet it because you don't want to flood this whole section with water and I don't want the pigment to go everywhere. And I just move it around with my brush until I'm happy. Going to leave that to dry. Going to wet this section as well. Again, the same color, but a beautiful color. Just going to drop it in there. Wipe my brush on some tissue paper and clean water. And now I'm just softening those little lines. I want it very light pink. So this again is the undersea green. And I want to drop it in on these parts of the leaf. Don't want it to be too dark, just a little bit. Staining that section again. So just leave it long enough to stain the paper. And then I soften it with my brush. Move it around and play with it. Manipulate your watercolors with your brush until you're happy. Very happy with that. And this again is the green gold. And I'm just taking it over the lemon. And then I move my brush around, wiggle it around to soften those little markings. Again, just that yellow to brighten up these little sections and this rich green gold color over these parts again. And then I use clean water just to soften all of those markings, still leaving a highlighted section in the middle. I don't want it to be too dark and then I just drop in some of that green gold. And just smooth it out with my brush. And this is our finished painting. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please follow me on YouTube, and if you want to, you can join us on Patreon for step-by-step tutorials. See you soon. Bye.